and colors, poison them against their sisters and brothers, yes.
That is not the way that it's supposed to be.
No, no.
We were meant to live in peace and harmony.
There are so many old moons and skies,
Keeping us apart.
it's time for healing.
Inside of you and me.
Healing,
Healing throughout
oh
all the
yeah.
human family.
Nations and nations,
Nation to nation.
spirit,
Spirit and soul to soul.
open up your heart.
And let the healing flow. We got to have healing. We got to have healing. We got to have healing.
Broken homes and families struggle to survive.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the listening audience. I am Maurice Selby,
And this is Sean Shivers.
And I'm Ayana Cole.
and you're listening to the one and only Health in Harlem on WHCR 90.3 FM New York, the voice of Harlem.
The voice of Harlem.
And Happy New Year, everyone. Tonight we have a treat for you. We have a veteran of the program, Dr. Milton Delarmy, and we are talking about common eye conditions, ladies and gentlemen, to open up the new year. So welcome back to the program, Dr. Delarmy.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Excellent. And the last time you were here, we were in the old studio,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
We go
yeah.
way back.
It was in the old studio.
The old studio.
Well, I tell you,
Not
this-
that, but we're talking about
This,
Oh,
on the
okay.
other side. Well, actually here
Excuse
in
me, okay.
the former WHCR, the former studios. But now he saw the new renovation. He's
no,
pretty
this
impressive.
Is, yeah, very impressive. Beautiful surroundings, much larger than that little small
Yes,
little
it
area.
was
you
smaller.
had.
It was much
That
smaller.
hole in the wall. Go ahead,
I
say it.
didn't want to say
You
that.
can say it, the hole in the
There's a
wall.
hole in the wall. But, I mean, you know, nonetheless, we still got great programming, ladies and gentlemen. That will never fail here on WHCR. So welcome back to the program, Dr. Delarmy. And let's just jump right into the topic, the eyes. This is one of the most vital sensory organs, and you're a specialist in that area, an ophthalmologist. So what are some of the most common eye conditions that individuals need to be aware of?
Yeah, what I wanted to talk to when I got invited, and I said, what topic should I? And rather than just dealing with one, I just wanted to cover sort of a lot of general stuff that I see in my everyday practice, a lot of common things. And I wanted to start off with one of the most common eye condition, cataracts. And actually, some people have, and we talked about misconceptions, about cataracts. Sometimes they think it's this flesh over the eye. But it's actually our natural lens. And, we're all actually going to get cataracts because it's our natural lens that's right behind the pupil, that little central opening. Yeah, it's like that's the way I kind of describe it to my patients. It's like a camera. And it's got this, the shutter is the pupil that opens and closes to filter out the light. And behind that pupil is our natural lens. And that clear lens, when we're young, baby, is clear like water. And as we mature and age, gets yellow. That's the beginning. But it can still be clear, and the light can be transmitted in. But then as it gets cloudy, and there's difficulty for the light to enter, and you can't focus and the glasses don't work, then there's usually something that we can do is curable with surgery. So again, cataracts is, when I see patients and I tell them you have the beginning of cataracts, they get scared. I say, no, you're still seeing 20/20. It's nothing to be done. And when it gets to be visually difficult for the patient, and everybody's going to have their degrees of when they want that cataract to be removed. There used to be a saying back in the days, wait until it's ripe. It's not, like you don't want to be bumping into walls.
Yeah, I got it.
So especially in this day and age where people are very mobile, individuals, they get ready when if they're driving and it causes a lot of glare, they can still have so-called 20/50 vision, which might be good for some individuals, but not for an individual who's driving and might be complaining of glare. So at that time, then there's something that we can do, which is a cataract surgery, which is a surgical procedure that removes the lens, our natural lens. And don't forget that lens is like a lens of a camera. If you remove a lens from a lens of a camera, you become out of focus. So we have to replace that natural lens with an implant. And it's a clear lens that we put in the same position where our natural lens was. And we have to, actually make calculations prior to surgery. For example, if somebody had been wearing thick glasses, well, when we remove that lens, that cataract, we don't have to give them the same thick glass. We could make them better to the point where they don't need glasses.
Wow.
And so, at least not thick glasses, and so that they can actually wear no glasses for distance and just reading glasses. There are now newer lenses. The only difference between an implant and our natural lens changes shape as we mature for near and far. Automatically, as we get into our 40s, and that's the other discussion I was going to have about glasses, our natural lens ages and it gets stiffer. So that's why when somebody comes to my office and says, Dr. Delerme, I'm having difficulty reading, I'm holding the paper, I don't have to look at them. I say, you must be 40-something. Because in the 40s, if you've never worn glasses and you've always been 20/20, but in your 40, all of a sudden there's and that's our natural lens. That's
Hey, so funny. I can attest to that because I'll be honest with you. I'll be sitting on my couch and I'm trying to look at the VCR, to see what time it is, and it's blurry. I said,
You have a VCR?
VCR?
Wow.
No, the cable.
Sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
All the shade in
I had to.
2016 already.
I was like, what?
I forgot about that.
I meant the cable box. Okay, I'm going to give you that point right there.
That's a good.
One for both. Sean's it.
I love you, Sean. I love you.
I was about
Had
to
to,
bang.
man.
I was about to bang on the table, but I remember when the late Miss Thomas, he said, "Don't."
Yeah, that's right,
I
that's
that was
right.
one
Yep.
thing I had.
Well, put 6 years because I'm 46 right now.
Yeah.
6 years ago, I had a VCR. Okay, I had a VCR, whatever, and it was blurry. Now it's even blurrier, but it's not a VCR.
But it's not a
It's a
VCR.
cable box.
Boy. Well, I'm glad I have something to look forward to. at my age.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next
yes,
question.
Yes.
Oh,
But
my
so it's just a natural phenomena, and but when that lens gets cloudy enough where you need to replace it, then we put it in. But what I was going to say was that these implants, the conventional implants, only allow you to see a certain distance. They're not like the natural lens, which changes shape. But now there are new implants that give you both near and far. It's not covered by insurance. That's extra. But Medicare will pay for that conventional one distance, and you got it. But there are these multifocal lenses that allow you to see distance and near. So that's cataract. So my next, going from cataracts to the next topic, common condition glaucoma. When patients come in and I got cataracts, we can curable. If your vision is decreased, and depending on how you can get to the point where that ripe cataract, where the person is like bumping into walls. Well, remove that lens and put a new one. Your vision will come right back to normal as long as the inside of the eye is normal.
And this is something that used to be, as we said, debilitating, right? You couldn't. I mean, people got to the point where they could not.
Well, sure, yeah.
Almost couldn't function.
There are individuals. Actually, one of my colleagues just told me he had one patient who, out of fear, and then not always fear. Sometimes, if you live by yourself, and you let your cataracts get to the point where now you can't even walk out your house. And we had a case at Harlem. This elderly lady, and she had what we call the white. Normally, you can't see a cataract unless you're examined, dilated. But there are some that become so mature and white, you can see a white pupil. Those cataracts are so dense that the individual can barely see their hands.
Wow.
So technically, if it's in both eyes, they're essentially legally blind to remove that cataract. So this lady was finally brought to the eye clinic at Harlem with her two sisters had come down from Detroit to visit her. And they saw her condition. They brought her to Harlem. And normally, we have to schedule these cases. It could take weeks to get in the OR. But when I saw her, we said we have to do her right away, and we were able. She had no medical conditions, and this is done under local anesthesia, and we were able to get her into the OR within the following week, and unbelievable. She was, we got it out in 2020, and sisters were able to go back to Detroit, and she didn't go back for the other eye. She was just happy, seeing out of that. But she was, she was ambulatory now.
Yeah,
She can function. But yeah, cataracts are reversible. What you don't want to wait to lose your vision from is glaucoma. That's the next topic. That is a whole different disease.
Just before we get on glaucoma, though, just a couple more questions. Now, I know you said this is something that develops naturally for pretty much all of us, but are there risk factors for maybe increased or accelerating the development of cataracts, or things that we need to be on the lookout for as far as exposures to prevent them from developing faster?
Yeah, there's not, there are certain conditions that will accelerate it. Diabetics can get cataracts at an early. Average normal population is 70s around there. But with diabetes, it can you can get. I've seen diabetics in their 40s. Trauma. If you had an injury years ago, for example, if you're a boxer getting hit in the eye a lot, well, guess what? You're gonna, you could probably develop cataracts a lot sooner. People exposed to a lot of sunlight, that's also a common.
I'm curious to know, what about this new trend out 2016? People getting these implants, they colored contacts in their eyes, or just having, not even if it's not even an implant. Let's just say just wearing the colored contacts and they don't need contacts. Can that add to possibly having a condition later in life?
Yeah. The contact, that's a whole different story. That's on the surface of the eye. It doesn't have anything to do with cataracts. But sure, right. I'm a rather conservative ophthalmologist, and it's not contact lenses are not toys. They're medical devices, but there are places where young kids, they want to get change the color of their eyes, and I mean, if you have a refractive error, meaning that you need glasses, okay, you want to, okay, but if you have no refractive, you just want, there's a risk, and I will tell them, be educated first of all, because what happens? Oh, I've seen some, they get them at non-prescribed. Beauty salon, and they're not taught how to, and we see them in the hospital, in the clinic, with corneal ulcers and corneal infections, and you can definitely lose your vision from a ulcer on the surface of the eye.
Wow. All right, we're going to get into glaucoma for sure next, because that one deserves a nice amount of time as well. Another very serious condition. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Health in Harlem on WHCR 90.3 FM New York. You can call us with any questions, comments, or concerns. The number to the studio is 212-650-6903. That is 212-650-6903. We will be right back. Stay with us.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
If you know the symptoms and get the facts, you'll know the signs of a heart attack. Women, listen to me, and when I'm done, if it sounds familiar, call 911.
Pain in your neck, chest,
arms or jaw,
shortness of breath,
please tell us more. Cold sweats and nausea, tiredness,
it's time to take it
serious. Back pain, stomach pain, shortness of breath, cold sweats, nausea, dizziness. If you know the symptoms and heed the signs, you'll be around for a long, long time. Women, listen to me, and when I'm done, if any sound familiar, call 911.
Learn a song that could save your life. Get a free download at womenshealth.gov/heart attack.
Women, listen to me, and when I'm done, if any sound familiar, call 911. If any sound familiar, call 911.
A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
911.
The Stanley Mirsky MD Educational Unit of the Mount Sinai Diabetes Center presents free diabetes education classes. Learn how to manage your diabetes and enjoy a better quality of life. Invite your friends and family to help you reach your goals. Prevent, control, thrive. Classes are Monday evenings at 6 p.m. and Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. All classes are held at the CAM building, located at 17 East 102nd Street, between Madison and 5th Avenue. Classes are free, but you must register. To register, call 212-221-4639. 241-3422. Option number 4.
This is the sound of E. coli splashing around in raw hamburger juice on your cutting board. And it looks like Mom just put the tomatoes and onions on there too. Don't let E. coli mosh with your food. An estimated 3,000 Americans die from a foodborne illness each year. So always separate raw meat from vegetables on 2 cutting boards. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Welcome back to WHCR's Health in Harlem, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maurice Selby, MD.
Sean Shivers.
And Ayana Cole.
And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us from Harlem Hospital Center, Dr. Milton Delorme, and he is an ophthalmologist, and we are talking about common eye conditions that you need to be aware of and also get treatment for. All right?
You have an announcement. You have an announcement, Ayana?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, yes, I do. I was like, I don't know where the paper is.
Yeah.
Again, share the warmth. Please donate your gently used clean coats to those in need. There will be boxes available in the MLK lobby, the social work office in MLK 6111, and the Ron Brown lobby.
That's at Harlem Hospital.
Yes, at Harlem Hospital.
Yes, indeed. That's true. I got to bring my coat up. I got a nice one that needs to be.
The 15th.
All right, so I have that up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so definitely get those coats in because, as you can see, it is starting to get chilly.
Cold.
Yeah, it's getting cold out
freezing out there.
Thank God, though. I don't know about y'all, but I was
a little worried.
Yeah.
I don't want
as nice as it was, 70-degree Christmas, it just did not feel right. I'll tell you that much. All right. So back to our topic. Before we went to break, we were talking about cataracts to open up the show, and then which is basically or how could I put it? On the lens, becomes very cloudy.
I don't know. He's having he's failing. I'm going to
fail
him. He's going to fail.
All right.
It's starting to change shape.
It's a natural lens.
Natural lens.
As the age matures, and there are different levels of maturity. And the most extreme type is the one that's white. But, you can get them during any point.
That's sort of a continuum. Got it.
Now, one of the things... just to end the cataract discussion is how do you treat it, the surgery. Again, it's small incision surgery now. Less than, we make an incision anywhere from less than 2 millimeters.
Wow.
And we use an instrument that removes this natural lens, kind of sucks it out. And then we put the implant, and the reason why we are able to put it through the small incision is because it's a foldable implant. We kind of roll it in there. And it's a local topical anesthesia, and barring any complication, if it's a straightforward case, talking about 15 minutes or less. Back in the days, it used to be like, an hour, and, couldn't move. This was the Ella Fitzgerald when we didn't even have implants, where you had to stay for bigger incision. But no, it's an ambulatory procedure on the local, and 15 minutes or less.
Wow. All right. So definitely get to an ophthalmologist, ladies and gentlemen, if you're having some issues regarding that. Now we're going to switch the topic and talk about a different disease, and this is glaucoma.
Glaucoma. And a higher incidence in the African American population, and high prevalence. We see a lot of that at Harlem. And what is glaucoma? It's pressure that's higher than normal, high eye pressure, which has nothing to do with blood pressure. Two different systems. The eye is like a ball; it has to be filled up, and there's fluid in the eye that fills it up. And the normal eye pressure, what we call intraocular pressure, is between 10 millimeters of mercury to 20. You can have pressures above that, 30, 35, 40, and not know it unless you get checked for that by an ophthalmologist or an eye care provider. The reason why it doesn't hurt, and there are different types, but the most common type of glaucoma is what we call open-angle glaucoma. There's a part of the eye where the fluid is made, and there's another part of the eye where the fluid is drained. It's the 24 hours a day is being made. So think of it like the way I explained to my patient, like a faucet. The analogy is the faucet. You open the faucet, fluid is being, comes out, drained, it drains out. Open-angle glaucoma, the drain is open. But those drains where it's open but it backs up? Well, that's open-angle glaucoma. Mm-hmm. And if that pressure remains high, the weakest part of the eye that's going to have damage is the optic nerve. And that's the part of the eye that sends a signal to the brain, part of the brain in the back that receives the vision. And you can have it, not know it. You can have 20/20 vision in the beginning, because what goes first is your side vision, and that gradually goes. And I used to go do mission work in the islands, and because of the access to care there, lack of it, we used to go there, and the people are already blind from glaucoma.
So,
and what you want to do is to pick it up early so that we can treat it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want, as far as the the symptoms of blindness, is that because of the fluid in the eye, or is that the pressure against the optic nerve?
Well, with open-angle glaucoma, you don't feel anything. Mm-hmm. When it's advanced, actually, I saw a young person, and I was really surprised because he just came in for eye check for glasses, and he hadn't had an eye examination in years. And it wasn't until we did the vision part first, because whenever you come to see an ophthalmologist, the first thing we do is check your vision. That's analogous to the internist. What do they do? Blood pressure. Mm-hmm. We want vision. That's our vital sign. And when they covered one eye, he was like, he didn't know that one eye was like, it was like he could barely see. Again, because it's a gradual type thing. Mm-hmm. That's an extreme case. I would know. I would think that I would know. Like I'm kind of, but
losing
he
that
just
much vision in one eye.
But obviously, if you start losing enough peripheral vision, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be bumping into things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because peripheral vision is a very, you kind of take that for good. Everybody 20/20, but you can have a condition where what's another condition called macular degeneration. It takes your central vision, but they have good peripheral vision, and that person can walk into your office and sit down, and you wouldn't know that he was legally blind because he's got good peripheral vision. You take the glaucoma person who has 20/20 but has tunnel vision, they're stumbling around.
Wow.
So at some point, does your body, as far as this teenager that you're talking about, did his body adjust to the situation to the point he even realize it?
Yeah, that's a good point. You can adjust. For example, you close one eye. What happens? We lose our depth perception. It feels funny, Mm-hmm. And there are people who can drive with one eye because technically, legally, to drive a passenger car, you only have to have one eye that sees better than 20/40. That's what. But that individual, what happens? Your brain picks up other clues to help you for the depth. So that must have exactly what happened in this particular case, where he just picked up because it was a gradual type thing. A sudden thing, you close your eye, well, suddenly you're off. You're like
trying to reach your stuff, can't do it. Yeah.
Eventually, So yeah, that's. But yeah, and that's why we like to do screenings out there, and there are a lot of sometimes there are communities where they do glaucoma screening as part of the blood pressure and cholesterol. They'll pick this up, especially in the African American population. The other type of glaucoma that's not as common is called narrow angle glaucoma, and that's analogous to, again, the faucet draining, mm-hmm. and then something covering the drain. And in the angle of the eye, when it's very narrow and it's dilated naturally, it closes up the drainage system and the pressure. Those people can have an acute attack of glaucoma. The treatment and cure for that is laser. We make a little hole to create a bypass. The treatment for the open angle glaucoma, the one that's more common, is drops. Drops to lower the pressure. Drops to slow down the amount of fluid being made, and we have other drops that makes the fluid go out. So people who have advanced glaucoma can be on multiple drops. When sometimes drops don't work or they're not compliant, laser and also surgery. So it's a more complicated and debilitating. And like I told my patients, especially when they're not compliant, you lose your vision and we can't bring that back. So it's important to be compliant with the medication. And as early as at family history, if there's a family history of glaucoma, then those patients should be seen
closely,
sooner.
right? Followed,
yeah. But that's a tough one that we see a lot, and it's.
And to me, the scariest part, like you said, is that it's so gradual a process, and there's really no symptoms that you don't know until it's advanced, right?
That's right. That's why we want to do. I try to check pressures on. Normally they say up to 40, but in most ophthalmologists, if you're young enough to sit still, because it does require a device on one of our machines. There are different ways to get the pressure in screening areas, clinics, or we use a device that blows a puff of air, and some people they get, you're going to blow that puff of air. In the ophthalmologist's office, usually we use a more accurate contact method where we have to instill some anesthetic, and there's a contact lens that touches the cornea, and it checks the pressure. But it's something that we are very active in trying to educate the population about.
Now, for the other one, would a synonym be acute angle glaucoma, the emergent one? What are some symptoms of that? Though?
That one is that's an acute attack of that. Patients their vision will be blurry when they're looking at, because the cornea swells up when they're looking at a light. They'll see what we call colored halos. If the pressure goes up so high, they can actually sometimes they can be. I just saw a patient recently who was admitted in emergency room because he was vomiting, had severe headache, and they thought he had to say, hey, they did a CAT scan. And what he had was an acute attack of glaucoma, and the treatment for that is if you see it early before he gets into attack, a laser cures it by drilling this little hole to create a bypass. But if not, some medications get the pupil down. The whole thing is you don't want to dilate patients who have narrow angle, because you can actually precipitate an attack. Then there are some who are not symptomatic, who are borderline, and those patients. But again, the only way to pick that up is to get an eye examination.
Yes.
I have a question. So a lot of young people know this upcoming rapper, Fetty Wap. He has one eye because I believe that when he was younger, he had glaucoma. At what point would you have to remove the eye?
We only remove the eye, even if the eye is not seen. Cosmetically, it looks better when it's there. But when the eye becomes painful and disfigured, mainly it's pain. The disfigured is not because sometimes when in severe cases where the eye shrinks, but it's not painful, they can put what we call a prosthesis. They can make an artificial eye look just like the other one. But if it's painful, that's about that's the time where we would remove it or do things to make it quiet.
Okay. Does that come from waiting too long to get checked?
Yeah. Now, typically glaucoma, the open angle occurs more as we get older. But there are special cases. There is congenital.
Okay.
Babies can be born. It's rare. That's a rare case. Congenital glaucoma. It sounds like if he had it, that lady probably had congenital glaucoma. That's a whole different. It's more difficult to treat. But if it's caught early, these patients can live have useful vision.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Health in Harlem on WHCR 90.3 FM New York. We will be right back after this break. Remember, you can call in at 212-650-6903. That's 212-650-6903. You can also hit us up on Facebook. Just type in Health in Harlem in the search box, and we'll pop right up, and you can leave your questions there. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
The holidays may be over, but the gifts keep coming late nights at the Apollo Theater. Kick off the new year with soulful Apollo Music Cafe performances by Mad Sata on Friday, January 8th, and Karina Passion on Saturday, January 9th. Doors open at 9 p.m. For tickets and more information, visit www.apollotheater.org.
There's hundreds of fun and simple things you and your family can do to live a healthier lifestyle. Here's 20 of them. Walk to work, walk the dog, have the dog walk you, take a hike, take a bike, skate, dance, hop, jump, do the Humpty Hump, skip seconds, skip dessert, skip to my loo, don't skip breakfast, drink H2O, lower your sodium, raise the roof, shake your booty, stock up on vegetables, and don't forget to eat them. Search We Can online to find more ways you and your family can get healthy together. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Hi, I'm Vinny B of the Vinny B Showcase. Tune in every Thursday from 8 to 12 midnight for some solid cultural roots music and some sweet lovers rock. Also, informative interviews and giveaways. Right here on the Vinny B Showcase every Thursday, 8 through 12 midnight on WHCR 90.3 FM. Peace.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Welcome back to Health in Harlem, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Maurice Selby.
And this is Sean Shivers.
And I'm Ayana Cole.
And ladies and gentlemen, before we get back to our conversation, just want to let you guys know that the Harlem Hospital Center's Farmers Market is still in effect. For all of those individuals out there, you got your New Year's resolutions. We want you to live up to those things that you've made, whether it's losing weight, being more active, eating more healthy. You can do so, and this market is here to assist you in doing that. So it runs every single Friday from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's 11 hours out of the day that they're there for you. 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. right at Lenox Avenue between 135th Street and 137th Street. It's right in front of Harlem Hospital Center. Fresh fruits and vegetables from local farmers. So definitely you want to check this out. They take WIC coupons, senior coupons, health bucks, SNAP, EBT, debit, credit cards, and even cash, of course. So definitely get out there and check them out so that you can bring this new year in nice and healthy. That's what we want to see happen. And then go get your eye exam with Dr. Delerme. So we have Dr. Milton Delerme here at what happened? Oh, okay. Here in the studio, and we are talking about common eye conditions and disorders. Now, the next big topic, and this is something that we kind of touched upon earlier, and that diabetics can have accelerated developments of cataracts, but this condition is probably even more serious. Would you agree,
Yep.
Dr. Delerme?
Yeah, I wanted to, when they invited me here, I just wanted to touch on stuff that we see every day at Harlem, and one of besides the cataracts and glaucoma, we get a lot of referrals from our primary care docs, diabetic eye examination, and it's recommended that all diabetics get their eye examined once a year, and some a lot of insurance carriers are requiring their doctors to do that. They're giving all kinds of bonuses and incentives, not only to the doctors, but also to the patient. I had there's one insurance carrier who will give the patient $40 if they go see the eye doctor, another $40 if they get their hemoglobin A1C, and they come in and they, doc, don't forget to fill this form out. But because it's we kind of take it for granted that that things won't happen, and with diabetes, it's a long-term thing. It adds up. We don't expect to see any eye pathology, what's called retinopathy, until after 5 years or 6 years with diabetes. That's why it's important to, but you can prolong that. They say eventually if you live long enough with diabetes, that you'll get some form of retinopathy. The earliest changes from diabetes are the acute changes. If your sugar goes up very high, it can cause your vision to change temporarily. You'll have other symptoms from diabetes before that, which is drinking a lot of water, urinating a lot. But for you to have a change in your vision, it has to be real. And I like to give these, these stories that are related stories. I saw this gentleman. He was in his 60s, a thin person from the islands. Looked like my boy over here. And hey, Doc, my vision, changed. I can't see that well that far. It's just in the past 6 months. Your vision shouldn't change like that in months. And so he came to see me in this multi-clinic that I work in, also at Harlem, and he. And one of the things I said, let's check you. He wasn't a diabetic, The thing is, he was supposed to get his blood work done, and he never got the blood work done for whatever reason. But I told the nurse, let's do a finger stick, and the nurse, did a finger stick, and but the machine wasn't working, but it was acting kind of funny. It was like, I said, look, let's just order some blood work on him. And they got some blood work on him, and his blood sugar was 800.
Yep. And it couldn't, the first time it probably couldn't pick up or register that high. Yep.
That's right. That's what, it wasn't wrong with the machine. The machines are like, and,
wow, man.
But so he went emergency room, and, gave some insulin. But I saw him a month later, and actually his daughter, worked in the clinic. She said, Dr. Lermy, you thank you for saving you saved my father's life. And but I saw him, and he's well controlled now. And I said, man, what how did you, but you wasn't the typical. He wasn't obese. He said, no, Doc, I just drink a lot of carrot juice, carrot, not natural stuff. He was, like canned stuff,
with sugar,
and it was
just
so he was just fueling that stuff, and unbelievable. But 800, and he was just feeling a little tired.
Wow.
But it did cause. But once his sugar got back to normal, vision was right back. All he needed was just reading glasses. It's the long-term effects of diabetes that we're more concerned with. Also, what's called retinopathy. Diabetes over the years will cause changes in the small capillaries of the body. In the eyes, we can see it's a window to the body, so we can see the changes in the capillaries. And the first things we see is what's called microannular, these little dilated vessels in the retina. And when we see that, again, once a year, but once we see the beginning of diabetes, we see them more frequently. And once those vessels start to leak, then they need further treatment. And we encourage them to maintain their diabetes well controlled.
So the question I have for you, just going back to diabetes, as far as diabetes, the glucose is that destroys the lining of the vessels.
That's
and so then the glucose, I guess, destroys the lining in the eyes. Is that what it is?
All the vessels. We have vessels in the entire body.
Gotcha.
And when I look with the ophthalmoscope, an instrument that allows me to see inside, I'm looking inside the retina, which has the vessels there.
Gotcha.
The only reason why we're covered on the skin is covered by skin. But in the eye, we could see the small vessels there, and in diabetes, the first thing we see in the eye is called microaneurysm. Usually, if that's happening in the eye, guess what? It's happening all over. The kidneys,
all over the body.
The foot, that's why they develop ulcers, because these capillaries, the blood doesn't flow right. It causes some clotting, and then it causes what we call ischemia. So there's a whole sequelae. And then another thing happens in the eye. Then you start growing these abnormal vessels, what's called neovascularization. Those vessels are not normal. They're fragile. they can bleed, so the diabetic can have hemorrhage. So this is the more advanced, what's called proliferative diabetic retinopathy. So what we want is to educate the medical internists are trying to keep what they call the hemoglobin A1C, which is a blood test. Now that they used to do it just on diabetics to monitor health. Now they're doing it on everyone for screening purposes also. So if they go above a certain number, they'll say, oh, pre-diabetes, start working on that. Diet, eating right now, as we were talking. Eating right, cutting back on those.
Getting to the farmer's market. Really quick, we have a caller on the line. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Thank you for being so patient. Can you tell us your name and where you're from?
My name is Sam. I'm calling from Harlem.
Excellent. Nice to talk to you, Sam. Happy New Year, first of all. And you have a question for Dr. Delermy?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I was saying that my mother has a cataract on her left eye, so if I could bring her to where you guys are, be able to get her.
Yes, feel free. We're at Harlem, the Ron Brown Pavilion on 137th Street between Lenox and 5th, and I'll give you the number to call 212-939-8210, and I'll give you when you call, just tell them that you heard me on the radio show. Give her my name so that I can see her personally. I see patients on Thursdays, and I'll be more than happy to see her.
That's awesome.
And the last name is Delermy. They call me short Dr. D. If you say Dr. D,
they know.
They'll know who it is.
Okay. And another question is, I want you to repeat that information a little later because I don't have a pen and paper right now.
I got it. Okay.
And, another question is about first aid. I would like to take a course in that. Is there a place where I can go and I'll take my answer off the air? Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Sam. Awesome question. So that's a good question. Is Sean our disaster response specialist? Or are you?
He done gave me a new title.
I know, I'm terrible. All right.
But as far as the first aid, I mean, I'm not really too sure.
For Harlem, I'm not sure.
But I know that the best thing I'm going to say right now is Google or 311.
311 could definitely let you know
Google, and you can definitely find a spot around the way that can give you basic first aid.
Yeah, because I only know of places in Brooklyn, but the good news, Mr. Sam, is that this is something that's very widespread, and you can even find free training courses. It's just a matter of doing a little bit of research, as Sean said. Google you can start with, just put it in a search engine, CPR courses, Harlem. But I would even go to NewYorkCity.gov, www.nyc.gov. Yep. So it is definitely. I'm glad you're interested.
And actually, we just Google it for you, and it popped right up, Red Cross. So it's right there.
CPR 123 Incorporated, somewhere in Manhattan, in Midtown.
Yeah.
So there's a ton. That's what's up. And hopefully you can get some other people there with you too, man. We need people with those skills everywhere. We need that. So excellent. And we'll repeat that information, as we said, so that we can get her to the clinic. For real. So just a few more questions. Actually, we're going to go to break.
Actually, we can do more. We can just do it because we have a whole lot of info.
Yeah, we still got a lot of information. Really quick.
Just do a quick legal
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Welcome to Health in Harlem on WHCR 90.3 FM, New York. So we're going to move right into our next topic. And this is something that I'm kind of, I guess, dealing with right now. And this is wearing glasses. Glasses. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. And I want to cover just the spectrum of wearing glasses because it's not, we talked about the 40-something age group. That's called presbyopia. But also I want to cover the young population because I see a lot of kids. I see all, nice thing about ophthalmology is we see all from infants to seniors,
The range.
The oldest, my oldest patient is like 98.
Wow.
My youngest, we can see preemies. But usually we get the referrals from the schools. If they have vision screening in the school, it's very important that if a child is not seeing equal in both eyes, that they get an eye examination to check to see whether they need glasses. Because what's worse than having two eyes not seeing clearly is one eye seeing better than the other, and that difference can cause a problem with the one that's not seeing so clearly. It's called amblyopia, and it's very difficult to correct if we don't catch it early. So that's why it's important. Usually it'll start with the pediatrician. I think pediatricians now are trained to get basic screening for the kids to check the vision. Any changes in that, they'll usually refer to ophthalmologists or optometrists who will examine for a refractive error. Then there are different types of eye condition, need for glasses, nearsighted, farsighted. What's the difference? The word, if you hear nearsighted person is a person who is sighted for near. That's how I tell people to remember nearsighted. Reverse that, sighted for near. So they see things near. And the technical term is myopia. I'm nearsighted. And farsighted, sighted for far. Person who sees better far. And then you can have a combination of refractive errors. You can have myopia. You can have then astigmatism. Pretty sure people have heard of astigmatism. That has to do, the nearsightedness and farsightedness has to do with the length of the eyeball from the front to the back. Astigmatism has to do with the curve of the surface of the cornea. And so the analogy I give to a person is, for example, a basketball doesn't have astigmatism. The curve is the same in all directions. A football has a whole lot of astigmatism. Now, somebody who has astigmatism have a shape like a football there, that's an exaggeration, but that's the analogy. And you want to get that corrected, especially when you're young. Because it can impair your vision later on in life if you're not seeing clearly, because the brain is still developing as an infant, and if it doesn't see clearly early, it can stay lazy later on, what's called amblyopia.
I want to, real quick, I was watching a commercial just the other day, and they were talking about a condition that is very, very common now, is where your eye doesn't properly tear, or
like chronic dry eye.
Yes. Is that something that individuals should worry about at all? And I'm just saying because I just happened to see it just recently.
Yeah, no, dry eye. Well, yeah, that's another. That's another condition that I see quite often, and more common in women than in men, due to the hormonal changes that happens in women as we age. Also, there are certain medical conditions. Thyroid, also diabetes can affect the how the tear film works, and having tears is very important. We take it for granted, but if we didn't have tears, we wouldn't be able to see. Our cornea will dry up and turn white. So we need that lubrication, and there are vitamin deficiencies in developing countries where they don't have vitamin, they can go blind. But dry eyes is something that I see quite often as part of my condition as an ophthalmologist. As far as the glasses, when you don't want to wear glasses, you can wear contact lenses, and we talked about contact lenses. Sure, especially, I didn't start wearing contact lenses until my refractive error was larger, and there were certain, like in sports, it was better to wear contact lenses. At what age should you wear contact lenses? I tell the parents when the kids are responsible and they can take care of that, because it does require a certain amount of responsibility. You got to take this plastic, but so the environment has to be clean. Yep. And it's you average about 14, 15. So it's more about the responsibility of that individual.
Got it. We have a caller on the line. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am. This is Marilyn from the Bronx.
Excellent. Welcome, Marilyn. Happy New Year.
Same to you and your guests and your audience.
Thank you very much. And you have a question for Dr. Delermy?
Yes, I do, Dr. D. I'm sorry, better late than never that I caught the topic of the show. I have for 40 years suffered with I forgot the name of the condition, but my left eye, which was subject to a crime victim trauma, the eyelashes grow into the eye. It's very painful. Years ago, I had
Ectropion. Ectropion, that's called.
Yeah.
Ectropion.
Right. It started with an A.
Yeah.
And they were talking about surgery, doing surgery to correct it. Do you think that's the only way to correct it? I've been suffering for.
Well, it was due
I'm
to
in my early 60s now.
Yeah, it was due to an injury, right?
Yes.
So yeah, the only way is probably scar tissue has caused that lid to be inverted, to grow in the wrong way. But yeah, there is surgery actually at Harlem, and it's just not at Harlem, but we do have usually it's an oculoplastic. We have specialists even within ophthalmology that deals with certain parts of retina specialist. But for the lids, we do have an oculoplastic individual, and if you want an opinion, we'll be more than happy to see you at Harlem.
Oh, definitely, because I was going to the cornea clinic for many, many years.
Yeah, because it was probably it was rubbing on your cornea, and sometimes though, if that underlying condition is not corrected, the lashes, then that's going to be constantly rubbing.
Yeah.
Again, you can call at number 212-939-8210. And actually, Thursdays is good here because Dr. Sin, who's my oculoplastic person at Harlem, we work together on Thursdays. So that'll be a good way to come in.
Okay, great.
Sure.
Thank you so much for your service and your expertise.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marilyn.
Happy New Year.
All right, you too. So awesome.
So the last thing on the list, real quick, it says, and I never heard of this.
Floaters.
Before.
Floaters.
I have one.
Yeah,
and it irritates me. It's so small. When I'm studying and I'm really focused, I'll gaze off and
we have a
free consult right now.
What is I tell you right now.
What is a floater?
What
is a floater?
Well, it's
so frustrating.
And I wanted to cover that as possibly the last because I see it so. And I mean, people come in really like, what is this? There's actually there's a pamphlet that's a patient education pamphlet in Spanish. They don't call it floater; they call it mosca volante, and that means a flying bug. A mosca. A mosca is a fly, and that's what patients say. This fly, this thing is, and it's it can be very scary when I have one too. So mine is on the left. Where's yours at?
On the right.
Yeah, and I can. There it goes. Normally, when you first see it, it can be very, scary. But most important thing, the floater itself is not dangerous. But when you do have a floater, you should be evaluated relatively in a short period of time. Not, maybe that we, call in. And usually an ophthalmologist will see you sooner than later, especially if associated with flashes of light. As I said, the eyeball is, the eye is like a ball, and in the inside hollow part of the eye, it's not completely hollow, it's filled with a jelly substance called the vitreous humor. That's why it's called a vitreous. The photonerm is vitreous floater. And the jelly part is called the vitreous, made of protein, and again, the eye is from fantastic structure because that jelly has to be clear because the light has to go through it.
That's right.
But there are times when that jelly, usually when you're older, not so young as but you could have it. I had mine when I was younger for a long time. But the jelly part can condense in some parts, and the only time you see it is when it's in your visual axis, in your line of vision. What we want to check is when that jelly part separates from the retina, and the retina is the inner lining of the eye. That's one of the most important structures of the eye because it converts what we see into an electrical signal, which sends it into the brain. So it's a converter. It's what allows us to see. When that jelly separates from the retina, we don't want it to take a piece of the retina with it. We don't want it to leave a retinal hole because that hole can develop into a detached retina if fluid goes into it. And a detached retina, which is what you can get from trauma, you can lose your vision from that. So when we see that, and when a person has flow the first time, we tell them, you come in, you get it dilated. It means you're going to have your pupils dilated, because usually in an area that's difficult to see. And if you do have it, we can seal it using laser, and that's the end of that danger. But the floater, we don't do anything about, because it's not dangerous. It can be annoying, but once you get it, you kind of, after a while, you kind of forget it.
Yeah.
You ignore it. But when I want to find mine, I can find it. But yeah, that's one of the things that I wanted to touch on, because it's very common, and it can be very frightening when you have it for the first time. And it can be dangerous if it causes a retinal hole, so that's why you generally have to be evaluated. And another thing that I want to tell you is, if you're going to come to the eye doctor for the first time, especially if you're driving, be prepared to have your pupils dilated. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're going to have to come back for another visit just for the dilation. So bring somebody, sunglasses,
yeah.
and somebody who can drive if you're a driver.
Got you. So real quick as we wrap up,
yes,
because we're almost towards the end.
I know, unfortunately.
Can you just let us know real quick, and I don't know if you mentioned this or not, how often should you go get your eye examined? And
when's the first time that you need to go?
Yeah, if you wear glasses, that you should. Usually, young kids, since their eyes are growing, we see them every year because we have to make adjustments as they grow. A person who wears glasses, an adult who wears reading glasses, usually those reading glasses won't change. If you have no other medical condition, will change in 3 years or so. If you have diabetes, once a year. You have history of glaucoma in the family, maybe sooner than later. Earlier the better. So it depends on, but if you have none of these risk factors, usually in your 20s you might just get your first eye examination if you never had any
issues.
Yeah. But definitely once you hit 40.
And I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful thing, and thank you for sharing this information with us, Dr. Delermy, but, there's a lot of these conditions that we talked about, cataracts, the glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, these things that took people's sight years ago, and there was nothing we can do about it. But now we're at a different age in medicine where we can do, as Dr. Delermy said, some of the stuff you're talking about is fascinating to me, and we can do stuff about this. So get to your physician, your primary doctor, get that referral to go to an ophthalmologist, or if you need to, stop by Harlem Hospital Center. And if you can give out that information really quick, Dr. Delermy, again.
212-939-8210.
And I will tell you to come to the emergency department if you are having some very quick change or an acute change in your vision. You need to get to an emergency department as quickly as possible. Even if you lose your vision for a fraction of a second and it comes back, come to the emergency department. If you have those flashing lights and the trouble in your vision, or a lot of pain in your eye is very red and teary, you got that nausea and vomiting, you need to get to the emergency department so we can evaluate you and even get you to be seen by an ophthalmologist emergently.
If it's our clinic at Harlem 5 days a week from 9 to 5, we take walk-ins. So if you have that type of emergency, come to the eye clinic first. After hours, go to the emergency room at Harlem. We do have ophthalmologists on call, so the ED doctors will call. But we do take walk-in. You got a red eye or a sudden change of vision, feel free to come in as a walk-in to our clinic.
Yes. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Delermy. And also I want to thank my colleagues, Sean Shivers and Ayanna Cole. And we're currently working on our schedule for next week, ladies and gentlemen, for the year, actually. So we're making some adjustments, but we will be here. Nonetheless, we will be on the air broadcasting, bringing you more great health information. So definitely stay tuned for that. All right. Anything to add, guys? Oh, my pleasure. Happy New Year. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this show is dedicated to the memory of Miss Gloria Thomas. You have Vinny B and the Vinny B Showcase coming up right now, so stay tuned.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Sorry, Harlem, take care of yourself.
Open up
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Righteous. Can't you see the sign of the time we're living in? Got to use it every day. It's what we need today. Whoa. You got to use it every day. It's what we need today. Wisdom and knowledge will guide you through. Don't you be the devil tool. No, you can't guide a people without a vision. You shall surely go astray. The Bible can teach you wisdom, whether you wise or you dumb. An elder can teach you wisdom, whether you're old or you're young. Oh, wisdom, oh, wisdom, oh, wisdom. Only a fool trust in his own eye and disregard correction. You got to be humble, free from anger, and your days shall be low. You gotta use every day. It's what we need today. You gotta use it, yeah. Every day. It's what we need today. Whoa. Oh, wisdom. Whoa. All right now. Oh, wisdom. Hey.
Fellow citizens of Africa, I greet you in the name of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League of the World. As you are aware, the world in which we live today is divided into separate race groups and distinct nationalities. Each race and each nationality is endeavoring to work out its own destiny to the exclusion of other races and other nationalities. We hear the cry of England for the Englishman, of France for the Frenchman, of Germany for the German, of Ireland for the Irish, of Palestine for the Jew, of Japan for the Japanese, of China for the Chinese. We of the Universal Negro Improvement Association are raising the cry of Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad. The great problem of the Negro for the last 500 years has been that of disunity. No one or no organization ever succeeded in uniting the Negro race.
yes, the bodies of men. You can shackle the hands of men. You can shackle the feet of men. You can imprison the bodies of men. But you cannot shackle or imprison the minds of men. Chant them down. Chant them down. Words from Marcus Messiah Garvey. Words, sound, and power. They do not know what we are capable of. They do not know what we are thinking. They're thinking in terms of dreadnoughts, battleships, aeroplanes, submarines. You know what we're thinking about? That is our own private business. Chant them down. Chant them down. Words from Marcus Messiah Garvey. Words, sound, and power. Black men of Carthage, black men of Ethiopia, of Timbuktu, Alexandria gave the light of civilization to this world. Ethiopia shall stretch forth her hands unto God, and princes shall come out of Egypt. Because classes, nations, races have been quite for over 4 centuries, who have merely borne abuse, insult, humiliation, whose forbearance can only be compared to the prophet Job, as likewise lifted his bowed head and raised it up to God's skies and cried out, I am a man, and demand a man's chance and a man's treatment in this world. But I shall teach the black man, I shall teach the black man to see beauty in his own kind and stop bleaching his skin and otherwise looking like what he's not. African freedom, African freedom, chant them down, chant them down. God made man Lord of his creation, gave him possession and ownership of the world. And you have been so darned lazy that you've allowed the other fellow to run away with the whole world, and now he's bluffing you and telling you that the world belongs to him and that you have no part in it. I don't have to apologize to anybody for being black, because God Almighty knew exactly what he was doing when he made me black. If black people knew their glorious past, then they would be more inclined to respect themselves. Yes, you heard of Johnny Walker Red and black. Well, he had his adversities, but he's still going strong. Well, I intend with your help and God's grace to continue, because my work has only just begun. And future generations shall have in their hands the guide by which they shall know the sins of the 20th century. I know, and I know you too believe in time, but we shall wait patiently for 200 years if need be to face our enemies through our posterity. When my enemies are satisfied, in life I shall come back, or in death even to serve you as I served before. In life I shall be the same, in death I shall be a terror to the foe. Come in an earthquake or a plague or a pestilence, or as God would have me, then be assured that I shall never desert you and make your enemies triumph over you. Will I not go to hell a million times for you? If I die in Atlanta, my work will only just then begin. For I shall live in the physical or the spiritual to see the day of Africa's glory. When I am dead, wrap the mantle of the red, the black and the green around me, for in the new life I shall rise up first with God's grace and blessing to lead the millions of the heights and the triumph that you well know. Look for me in a world when there is storm. Look for me all around you. For with God's grace, I shall come back with countless millions of black men and women who have died in America, those who have died in the West Indies, and those who have died in Africa, to aid you in the fight for liberty, freedom, and life. African freedom, African freedom, and liberty. Chant them down, chant them down. Garvey, the record. Babylon did it. Assyria did it. France under Napoleon did it. Germany under Prince von Bismarck did it. England under America under George Washington did it. Africa with 400 million black people can do it. If you cannot do it, if you are not prepared to do it, then you will die. You race of cowards, you race of imbeciles, you race of good for nothing. If you cannot do what other men have done, what other nations have done, what other races have done, then you have better die.
Teach them, Gavi, teach them. Want them, Gavi, want them. Tell them, Gavi, tell them. Chant them down. Chant them down. Gavi, Marcus, Gavi. Chant them down. Chant them down. Gavi.
Can we do it? We can do it. We shall do it.
African must do it. African must do it. African got to do it. Chant them down. Chant them down. Gabi, Marcus, Mosiah, great prophet from Jamaica to Africa.
We'll be fighting. It's not against yellow, red, or whiteys. Our physical, natural enemies. Asexual orientation, the religious affiliation, the prolonging, poised with promiscuity, or one's gender is not a concern. As
Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Revoluting for a cause, just because that old Babylon cause we're bonding for revolution. Come to a bloody revolution.
the revolution will not focus on landlords against land leases, lessors, management or union heads against the unrepresented workers, or an upsurgous gang or clan attacks. No, not the haves against the have-nots. The unemployable, the undereducated, malnourished, unwanted, against whom a system plotted. No, but a revolution destined on the script of black survival will take place. Not mothers against daughters, nor sons against the entire family. First, second, or third, the class system won't come up. But a revolution is a must. The boundaries based on the remnants of religious, geopolitical, or educational compliance crumble to the stroke of store-bought whiteouts as in significant.
We're breaking down the party, facing up to that which divides we, from the Roman Saxon to the Arab doctrines to the Catholic Capitals. None can stop we
No marching in the streets.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Slogans or ideologies draw no attention to a generation's wants,
90.3
needs,
FM, New York.
or gap. A revolution without planned bloodshed or the onslaught known as black on black. No propaganda to trivialize the agenda, as the media broadcasts won't know what's up, while this revolution will take place deliberately in all major cities, small villages, and one-man towns. The revolution to free the black man's mind is a must, as the black mind for hundreds of years has been in a captive state, in stagnant negativity, in a mental debt, committing genocidal suicide. The mind needs to be rescued, yet
Well, this is a speech to all Jamaicans and the rest of the world, especially for those who have been victimized of their own civil rights and have been badly brutalized by just saying the right thing. I'm now presenting myself to you as a victim of this system of organized crime, which have been supported by a committed set of people whose conscience is piercing wicked, who have lost the feelings of mankind, who have always remained shame. They use us as target. They're licensed to kill and commit illegal crime with promises of protection by their so-called constitution, which is the climax of inhuman. Because they have been strongly supported by their ministers, judge, lieutenants, commissioners, lawyers, who have spent years studying how to defend, preserve, and disguise their guilty activity of injustice. They talk about force, Jamaica Defense Force, Jamaica Constabulary Force, which is force of ignorance, pure ignorance. When we speak the truth about our living experience of injustice, they use force to quiet you. They drill to kill to live, because they don't know how to live. Then they sing Jamaica land we love. Forget about the people. So now you know that we realize we don't need your protection. You're too inquisitive in our life. We have heart of flesh. We don't need mental lead nor copper to protect us. What we need is not what you have to offer. Our need comes from God. So now we demand your subtraction from our life. Surely we can make it without you. You and your dirty way of living, who at present cause our children to be suffering the inconvenience of today's transportation disaster, so the educational background can remain inferior, dark and illiterate. Then we become their target. We graduate from school straight into the prison which we now demand to be diminished. Then we would know who's the real criminal. Yes, away with the prison. Then we would know who's the real criminal.
It's complex, complex. It's very complex. It's complex, complex. It's very complex. Why is it complex? It's just complex. I'm under the pretext of when I was cast the hex. Defects. I write and recite text. Am I blessed or cursed? Wait, before you say yeah, only I must say first. It matters not what you say. I'm gonna say what I have to say. If you think I'm arrogant, I'm sorry if it seems that way. I can explain why it does, but it will take all day. It's complex, complex. It's very complex. Why is it complex? It's just complex. Take a life of conflict and strife into context. The effects from being on one's toes. Mo's the type who readily goes wherever, whenever a good wind blows. One seldom knows where one may be next. The context of a life of conflict and strife. It's complex, complex. It's very complex. It's complex, complex. It's very complex. Religion or a complex division. Check the effects they have on man. Divide man into fractions like seas divide the land. And when they mix up with conflicts between Anglicans, Catholics, Evangelists, Baptists, and whatever I missed, you can add to this however you choose. Muslims, Jews, upper and lower caste, Hindus. Under politics, add race and class to the mix of Republicans, Democrats, Socialists, Communists, and big business too. Can you tell who is who? Or is it too complex? It's complex, complex. It's very complex. It's complex, complex. It's very complex. Love is my solution because I understand it's complex. So I hold my rage, vex it on the page, otherwise I never get vexed. Vexed at this stage, at my age, please. God is love, and God provide the trees that set my mind at ease so I can flex my mental capabilities. And in times like these, where so many in Africa are still dying from disease, war, starvation, I hear a nation crying. There's no denying, I feel it, so I must reveal it. Even though it's very, very, very complex, complex. It's very complex. Complex, complex. It's very complex. It's complex, complex. It's very complex. Why is it complex? It's just complex. I'm under the pretext upon I was cast the hex. The effects.
We shall overcome. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. Before this victory won, some will have to get thrown in jail some more, but we shall overcome. Some would be misunderstood and called bad names and dismissed as rabble-rousers and agitators, but we shall overcome. real wage. Is be true to what you said on paper. Somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read of America is the
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Veterans have difficulty transitioning their military skills into civilian jobs. In New York City, an estimated 17,300 veterans are unemployed. Are you a veteran in desperate need of help? Do you want to take advantage of a life-changing opportunity? If so, the 369th Veterans Outreach Program is designed to assist veterans in Harlem and surrounding communities. Veteran services include resume preparation, interview workshops, access to interview attire, and reliable transportation. For more information, call the 369th Veterans Outreach Program at 646-533-9292.
CNN.com recently named New York City as the most stressful city in the United States because of the high cost of living, long commutes, and overcrowded conditions. Some New Yorkers combat stress with exercise and fun activities in Central Park. But if stress has become too overwhelming for you to cope with, there is help. Harlem Hospital has an outpatient clinic that can help you deal with stress, alcoholism, anger management, and substance abuse. Seminars and workshops are held at Harlem Hospital on West 137th Street between Lenox and 5th Avenues on the 4th floor. Workshops are held Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to noon. Call 212-939-3210 for more information.
Hi, this is Sister Virginia Cotton, and I'll take you to that place every Tuesday morning from 6 to 10 in the a.m. on the Gospel Legends program. We'll lift the Savior and take a trip down memory lane. How far back will I go? Tune in on Tuesday morning, WHCR 90.3 FM from 6 to 10 in the a.m. And don't forget the website. That's the 3Ws.WHCR.org. I'm so excited.
On Sunday, January 17th at 3 p.m., the world-famous Apollo Theater will host a Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration. Hosts Brian Lira and Jamie Floyd will discuss race and privilege, exploring Martin Luther King's two Americas, with featured guests Taylor Branch, Rukia Diallo, Dr. Eddie Glaude Jr., Sherilyn Ifield, Rashad Robinson, Rinku Sen, Jose Antonio Vargas, Reverend Mike Warren, and Sheena Wright. Special musical performances by Daniel Bernard Romaine and guests. To attend this free event, register at www.apollotheater.org.
The holidays may be over, but the gifts keep coming late nights at the Apollo Theater. Kick off the new year with soulful Apollo Music Cafe performances by Mad Sata on Friday, January 8th, and Karina Passian on Saturday, January 9th. Doors open at 9 p.m. For tickets and more information, visit www.apollotheater.org.
Special thanks to all those who made donations in support of our 30th anniversary in 2016. Your WHCR 90.3 FM membership cards are in the mail, but you don't have to wait until 2016 to use them. The following businesses will give discounts to patrons who present them: Calabar Imports, located at the corner of Frederick Douglass Boulevard and 134th Street in Harlem. For hours and information, call 646-964-5062. Carol's Uptown Hair Design, located at Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard between 146th and 147th Street. Call 212-491-6879 for hours and information. Cohen's Fashion Optical, located on the corner of 125th Street and Lenox Avenue. You can reach them at 212-996-2676. Compton Eye Associates, located at 4738 Broadway between Sherman Avenue and Dungan Place in Washington Heights. You can reach them at 646-661-7615. Figs Barbershop, located at Frederick Douglass Boulevard near 135th Street. You can reach them at 646-509-8580. And Key Energy Center, located at 13 West 122nd Street between Malcolm X Boulevard and Mount Morris Park West in Harlem. Must call 646-329-6727 for an appointment. For more information about businesses that accept the WHCR 90.3 FM membership card, visit our website at www.whcr.org.
We shall overcome. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. Before this victory won, some will have to get thrown in jail some more, but we shall overcome. Some would be misunderstood and called bad names and dismissed as rabble-rousers and agitators, but we shall overcome. You shall reap what you sow. We shall overcome. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. Is be true to what you said on paper. Somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And we aren't going to let any We aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. We've got some difficult days ahead. Has its place. Now I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Yeah, Everything Showcase, WHCR 90.3 FM, WHCR.org on the web. Yeah, Happy New Year, people. Can you believe it's 7 days in the new year, in 2016? So, what about your resolution? Now, you're able to start it, and can you continue it? Well, this is a challenging year for all of us, yes. With all those politicians, the things they're saying, what they're planning on doing. And then on the other hand, some people will be happier, I should say, because they're going to get an increase. And the governor and the mayor has announced that by 2017, some people will get in, $15 an hour. No, that's an upgrade. But, by the time you get to that $15 an hour, cost of living will go up like about 200 to 300%. Yeah, believe it or not. But I always say that the problem for us is rent. It's sad you can't use 2 weeks of your pay to cover your rent. Sometimes, you have to go hungry just to pay your rent. And then, if you're going to get an increase right now, things are going to go up. Lucky for those of us who own a car, gas is not all that expensive anymore. So we get a little break there. So what's your vision for the rest of this year? For the rest of your existing life? What are you going to do? Can the resolution that you make for this year help you to survive a little bit more? I guess time will tell. The man Michael Dawkins says, vision.
Whoa, oh, ade, from the visions of my mind, looking through the hands of time, we can have a better future if we try. This world can be a better place without war and without hate. If we join together and progress with one aim. Some get on their knees calling out to see for a solution to solve the problem immediately. This world is filled with so much hate and hypocrisy. Know the truth within yourself and your mind, it shall be free. From the visions of my mind, visions of my mind, coming by. Change is right, change your way to the way. Yeah, on that day. From the visions of my mind. problem? What's the fuss? Everyone in such a rush. Exploitation, confrontation, discrimination. Corporate greed and rumors of war. This human race will never get far. If they keep scheming, people dying, wealth increasing. So lead step to the podium to make speed. To the others who wise could see his lives distinctively. This world is filled with so much fraud and hypocrisy. Know yourself, no wreck yourself, no wreck yourself. This is living, hey, yeah. From the visions of my mind, visions of my mind. Come back. Gotta change and rate to the way. Yeah. Oh.
New York.
From the vision of my mind, coming back. I see a bomb fell from the sky. Hey, oh, and many people die. We gotta save the baby. Children of the future. We need a better tomorrow. Street filled with blood and
once we got living in sin. A long time me a go, was stumbling blocks catch me by me way. A long time me a go, never know a real love comes this day. A long time me a go, was stumbling blocks catch me by me way. A long time me a go, never know a real love comes this day. Every day I get up and I'm crying. I wondered why it's just a system that we live in, and it's not fair at all, not knowing what they're all about. A long time me I go, was stumbling blocks catch me by me way. A long time me I go, never know a real love comes this day. A long time me a go, but stumbling blocks catch me by me way. A long time me a go, never know a real love comes this day. I am older now, and yes, I am wiser. It's just the connections I have with my Creator. Jah opened up my eyes, I can see everything. A long time me I go, but stumbling blocks catch me by me way. A long time me I go, never know a real love comes this day. A long time me I go, but stumbling blocks catch me by me way. A long time me I go, never know a real love comes this day. I've been through ups and downs to know what life's about, and it's so sickening to see what them I do it. Jah speaking is to be poor is to live in sin. Yeah. say real love come to stay. A long time me a go.
Thank you for your arms of protection. Yeah. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want to make sure that I can lie down in green pastures. My weary soul he will restore. With my heart in his hand he leads me by the still water. Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. If my feet should slip and I fall, his staff will correct, and he'll come to my rescue. From his arms no one can tear me apart. He'll come to my rescue. Won't tell the wicked man his plans are gonna fall. To my rescue. With his angels I'm moving forward. To my rescue. Jehovah got me with his strength and with his arms. Poverty sticks to righteous while the wicked fight the just. Yes, them draw for them gun, have no regard for the poor man and them sons. But still Jah looks down from above, laughs on his throne, cause he knows him I go work it out for the ones who fully trust in him. And yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. If my feet should slip and I fall, his staff will correct, and he'll come to my rescue. From his arms no one can tear me apart. He'll come to my rescue. Won't tell the wicked man his plans are gonna fall. He'll come to my rescue. With his angels I'm moving forward. To my rescue. Jehovah got me with his strength and with his arms. I won't be afraid of the arrow that flieth by day, or the terror at night. See, Jah loves over me like rain. When it storms, I call on his name. And I know he'll come. From his arms you can't tear me apart. He'll come to my rescue. Won't tell the wicked man his plans are gonna come to my rescue. With his angels I'm moving forward. My rescue. Jehovah guide me with his strength and with his arms. Jehovah guide me with his strength and with his arms. Jehovah guide me with his strength and with his arms. So come to my rescue. So come to my rescue.
None of them. None of them, yeah. Let me tell you, none of them can get to me yet. Cause in a fire, they must spread them bed. If you bite the ends that feed you, you're just like a walking dead. Let me tell you, none of them can get to me yet. Cause in a fire, they must spread them bed. If you make a blind man lead you, you're worse than a walking dead. No greater fool than the man who fool himself, thinking that he's wiser than you. Walk around and bragging about himself and the things he think he can do. The great book said, any man who exalts himself shall be nothing but a base. So just open your eyes, don't get hypnotized by no devil heart with pretty face. Let me tell you, none of them can get to me yet. Cause in a fire, they must spread them bed. If you bite the ends that feed you, you're just like a walking dead. Let me tell you, none of them can get to me yet. Cause in a fire, they must spread them bed. If you make a blind man lead you, you're worse than a walking dead. Though the hidden lion wait for me, no man decides my just like Daniel in the lion's den, holding firm until the end. Let me tell you, none of them can get to me head, 'cause in the fire them must spread them bed. When you bite the hands that feed you, you're just like a walking dead. Let me tell you, none of them can get to me head, 'cause in the fire them must spread them bed. If you make a blind man lead you, you're worse than a walking dead. None of them, none of them, yeah. Just like Daniel in the lion's den, holding firm until the end. Let me tell you, none of them can get to me head, 'cause in the fire they must spread them bed. When you bite the hands that feed you, you're just like a walking dead. Let me tell you, none of them can get to me head, 'cause in the fire they must spread them bed. If you make a blind man lead you, you're worse than a walking dead. None of them can get to me head, 'cause in the fire they must spread them bed. When you bite the hands that feed you, you're worse than a walking dead. Let me tell you, none of them can get to me head, 'cause in the fire they must spread them bed. When you make a blind man lead you, you're worse than a walking dead. Just like a walking dead, worse than a walking dead. Just like a walking dead, worse than a walking dead. Why? Just like a walking dead, worse than a walking dead. None of them, just like a walking dead.
4,000 years, 4,000 years. Broke off my back and my blood, sweat and tears. No I cry, war, war, war. Oh, Mama Africa, war. Can't stop crying for Mama Africa. Long time me head no take a rest for Mama Pillar. War, war, war. Oh, Mama Africa, war. Can't stop crying for them Mama and African children. So me take a trip down in Ghana, look down in the south of Sudan. When me touch down in Kenya, Gambia, I remember Al Kibulo. Look how much them killing at the Congos, and down in Sierra Leone. I know them trick we in a slavery and Caribbean. We know Africa will first. So war, war, war. War, Mama Africa, war. Can't stop crying for Mama Africa. Long time me head not take a rest for Mama Pillar. War, war, war. War, Mama Africa, war. Can't stop crying for them Mama and African children. War, war, war. War, Mama Africa, war. Can't stop crying for Mama Africa. Long time me head not take a rest for Mama Pillar. War, war, war. War, Mama Africa, war. Can't stop crying for them Mama and African children. You know see them set black against black, killing each other, you a mad mistake. Try speak the truth, your friend not tell you about crap. And the easiest thing for them fire gunshot. No tell me say you yet me to the color when me got. No tell me say you yet me to me proud to be black. Africa me come from other roots than me got, and me can't do nothing about that. But I know Africa is the first civilization. Yes I know Africa has built each and every nation. That I know, but we are the only one from creation. That I know, that face this kind of discrimination. So I say, war, 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 Mama Africa, war. Can't stop girl, Mama Africa. Long time me head no take a rest for Mama Pillar. War, 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 Mama Africa, war.
4,000 years. 4,000 years. Chakas and chains, so much that I've paid. Work hard.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
This is the sound of someone correctly installing a car seat. And this is the sound of someone incorrectly installing a car seat. Correctly, incorrectly. Hear the difference? No? That's because installing a car seat incorrectly is terribly easy. So much so, 75% of adults install them wrong. For simple instructions on how to get it right, visit buckleupforlife.org. Ah, perfectly executed. Brought to you by Cohen Children's Medical Center.
All in together now. We can make it better now. Come on, can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
We rope it up.
Cause we know how to jump.
We'll roll it out.
Cause we know how to skate.
We'll cut it down.
Cause we know what to eat.
We'll swap it out.
We eat healthy stuff.
Just moving a little and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find doable tips and activities that you can use every day. That's We Can. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Let's go to church. Let's go to church.
It's Morning Praise with Dalton Anderson. Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Listen and enjoy the best in contemporary, traditional, quartet, gospel comedy, holy hip-hop, and gospel house music with the man who knows how to wake and bake and shake you right out your gospel beds. It's Morning Praise with Dalton Anderson, Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. on WHCR 90.3 FM. Let's go to church. Come on.
The holidays may be over, but the gifts keep coming late nights at the Apollo Theater. Kick off the new year with soulful Apollo Music Cafe performances by Mad Sata on Friday, January 8th, and Karina Pasian on Saturday, January 9th. Doors open at 9 p.m. For tickets and more information, visit www.apollotheater.org.
On Sunday, January 17th at 3 p.m., the world-famous Apollo Theater will host a Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration. Hosts Brian Lira and Jamie Floyd will discuss race and privilege, exploring Martin Luther King's two Americas, with featured guests Taylor Branch, Rukia Diallo, Dr. Eddie Glaude Jr., Sherilyn Ifield, Rashad Robinson, Rinku Sen, Jose Antonio Vargas, Reverend Mike Warren, and Sheena Wright. Special musical performances by Daniel Bernard Romaine and guests. To attend this free event, register at www.apollotheater.org. Special thanks to all those who made donations in support of our 30th anniversary in 2016. Your WHCR 90.3 FM membership cards are in the mail, but you don't have to wait until 2016 to use them. The following businesses will give discounts to patrons who present them. Calabar Imports, located at the corner of Frederick Douglass Boulevard and 134th Street in Harlem. For hours and information, call 646-964-5062. Carol's Uptown Hair Design, located at Adam Clayton Power Jr. Boulevard between 146th and 147th Street. Call 212-491-6879 for hours and information. Cohen's Fashion Optical, located on the corner of 125th Street and Lenox Avenue. You can reach them at 212-996-2676. Compton Eye Associates, located at 4738 Broadway, between Sherman Avenue and Dungan Place in Washington Heights. You can reach them at 646-661-7615. Figs Barbershop, located at Frederick Douglass Boulevard near 135th Street. You can reach them at 646-509-8580. And Key Energy Center, located at 13 West 122nd Street between Malcolm X Boulevard and Mount Mars Park West in Harlem. Must call 646-329-6727 for an appointment. For more information about businesses that accept the WHCR 90.3 FM membership card, visit our website at www.whcr.org.
To myself, observing all this time. From every angle I could see, my people, you're meeting hell. The brothers have turned to crime, so they die from time to time. We'd like to ask you leaders, what have you got in mind? I see the fire spreading, it's getting hotter and hot. The shoes of the have-nots. If the sign is on your door, then you will be safe for sure. But if you are in pretense, you're on the wrong side of the fence. Oh yeah, you better believe me. People, believe me when I tell you another thing I saw in visions right in front of my eyes. Sisters prostituting, selling away their lives. They get but very little pay, the ones who clean the mess. Minority who sits on top just rates themselves the best. But I see the fire spreading, it's getting hotter and hot. The house will wanna be in the shoes of the have-nots. If the sign is on your door, then you will be safe for sure. But if you are in pretense, you're on the wrong side of the fence. You better believe me, my people. Believe me when I tell you another thing I saw in a vision right in front of these eyes. Sisters prostituting, selling away their lives. They get but very little pay, the ones who clean the mess. Minority who sits on top just rates themselves the best. But I see the fire spreading, it's getting hotter and hot. The house will wanna be in the shoes of the have-nots. If the sign is on your door, then you will be safe for sure. But if you are in pretense, you're on the wrong side of the fence. Fire burning, feel the fire burning, fire burning, 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 feel the fire burning, feel the fire burning, 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 feel the fire burning.
Oh no, oh no, no. Excuse me, sir. Did you say a platinum album for my soul and gold? You need violence, gunshot. That's what's hot. Gangsta thugs, yes. That's what the people them love. Well, I don't wanna lose my soul. I don't wanna lose my soul. I don't want to gain the whole wide world and lose my soul. I don't want to gain the whole wide world and lose The world is filled with hatred and grudge. All I see around your road is violence. I man see no love. And everyone is scraping and grabbing for vanity. The whole wide world is obsessed with vanity. But I don't wanna, no, I don't wanna lose my soul. I don't wanna, no, I don't wanna lose my soul. Oh no, I don't wanna lose my soul. I don't wanna lose my soul. Oh no, oh no, oh no. If you fall in love with vanity, you will do almost anything just to achieve fortune and fame. But I don't wanna, no, I don't wanna lose my soul. I don't wanna, no, I don't wanna lose my soul. Excuse me, sir. Did you say a platinum album for my soul and gold? You need violence, gunshot, that's what's hot. Gangsta thugs, yeah, that's what the people them love. Well, I don't wanna, no, I don't wanna lose my soul. I don't wanna, no, I don't wanna lose my soul. Oh no, I don't wanna lose my soul. Oh no, 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 no. Oh no, oh no. Oh no, your love for vanity will drive you to insanity. Your love for vanity will drive you to insanity.
Oh, the games people play now, every night and every day now. Never meaning what they say, never say what they mean. First you while away your hours in your ivory towers. Soon you'll be covered up with flowers in the back of a black limousine. People walking up to you, say